All right, hello and welcome. How's everyone doing on what I hope is a
Oh,
fantastic November, the 4th? Wow, wow, Jeff? Was I being
you gave me no warning that we
Oh,
were going live.
oh,
It's like,
sorry.
whoa, we're on.
So humorously, I was like, okay, and then like you like straightened and you looked like ready to go. I'm like, okay, wow, Jeff is ready. He knows what's about to happen.
I'm
I,
always ready. Let's do it.
uh, oh, hey Jeff, I'm gonna go live now. So you ready?
Oh, okay. Sure. Give me a sec, will you?
Yeah. Take your time.
This is the virtual pub, right?
Yeah. Oh, that's yeah. Wow. I think yes, we used to do it Mondays at actually 9, right? We did it. I think
Yeah,
it
and then
started about
when
half hour earlier.
9:30 went back and forth a little, I think. Different
The
days.
the Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, every day but Friday. I think in the end,
Yes.
I really bounced on that one, just all over the place. But I really
Yes, you did.
tried. I kept
And
bouncing because I didn't want to end it. I tried hard to keep that going for a long time.
I know, and it's funny, you said you bounced and you froze actually when you said you bounced.
Yeah, apparently, once a stream, I gotta just everything freezes.
Yeah, I know. I know.
So weird. Like it's especially weird because I have OBS going for like 20 at least 20 minutes before the stream starts. And then like I get everything set up and it's something about actually starting the broadcast even though OBS the whole time is processing everything. I don't know. There's something weird going on in the background.
It's that AMD system you built.
It must be. I should have gone Intel, I
Something. I
guess.
don't know. Oh well, maybe next time.
Yeah. And Thomas and Josh are both demanding the pub back. It was a fun time. Honestly, I would have a real hard time doing it again, predominantly because I've had to go gluten free. I'd have to like start doing
Ah,
um I don't know like uh vodka or something like
okay.
so much of the drinks I would mix are drinks I can't mix anymore. So I guess I just have to go
Interesting.
like the Coca-Cola route.
Well, maybe. I've got Pepsi right now.
Yeah. And because I mean, one of the things we always said on the virtual pub was, if you don't know what this is, back during the pandemic and everything was shut down, uh, I was hanging out with Michael. And I said, you know what? Hey, Michael, the anti-trucker at the time, now not Salty Trucker. He changed his name again, right? Or
I
his
think
channel
he's still
name.
the salty checker, trekker rather. Checker. Salty
Salty
checker.
Trucker.
Salty trekker.
He works at Tom Thumb or Kroger, and he's real salty doing the checkout there. I thought he changed his channel name again recently.
He did, but he's still the salty trekker.
Okay, so me and Michael, the Salty Trekker, we would do a virtual pub. It was a time when everyone's so isolated. I'd say, "Come on in," and I'd get on like a bartender type outfit, do a fancy tie, and we talk, just the nerd things of the week. What's going on in the dorky world out there? And one of the things I always said is, "You're welcome. You don't have to drink alcohol because I know everyone has uh, different moral leanings on that. And I never wanted anyone to feel like they're being pressured into something. And I never wanted anyone to feel like, hey, I have a personal affront to this, uh, so I can't come on. So it was always whatever you want, just come and hang out with us. Enjoy a time of communicating with people and having that bond because we were so isolated. It was the worst. Uh, and I had a lot of fun with that. But I mean, not only would I have to just stick to water these days. Not that there's anything wrong with it. Like I I am not overly concerned about the fact that I will, you know, never have that stuff again. That's not what defines me in this life. Uh, but also I don't have time for it. Like this stream is what I have time for. Like you've seen on my channel, like I don't release really any. Yes, that was what I do right there. Thank you, Jeff.
Certainly.
For a second, I'm like, how am I like what happened on my end? It was Jeff. But like, so I really don't have the bandwidth to do the pub stuff anymore. I barely watch TV shows as it is. I've cut out. So honestly, hey, this is Matt confesses his sins moment here. So honestly, like the past 9 months, I've been in a complete burnout state, basically, and I felt like I was being productive every day, and Amy would be like, "Well, what did you do today?" And it would get me really upset because not because she was asking me, but because like when I was asked, I couldn't think about the things I did. But like I was busy the whole day. I know I did things, and I started to realize like I had ultimately been doing nothing. There are times when work would come in, and I'd be busy during that short spell, but then that specific job would end, and I wouldn't be being productive again. And it was something where I actually gotten onto some ADHD medicine, and being on this has like it's changing my life. It's insane. Just because where before, I'd have a list of things I need to do in the day, and I'd start to be overwhelmed about which one do I do first, which one do I do first, and I wouldn't do any of them. And the end of the day would come, and now not only did I not get done the things I had to do, now I had more stuff to get done for the next day, and it was just this horrible cyclic cycle. So I got on some medicine, and it's really helped me be able to process the things I have to do. And I mean, all of a sudden, and between that and waking up early, it has been a complete change in my life. I've weeded out I gutted the number of YouTube channels I was subscribed to, because I'm like, this is wasting my time. Like what do I care about the top 7 bosses from video games that gave you lackluster rewards, the outside Xbox stuff. It's pointless. It's fun stuff when I subscribed to it, but then like I got so many of those random little 7-15 minute long videos that all of a sudden that's like I just had an overflowing amount of it. And
I know what you mean. I have that problem.
Yeah, so I gutted it out. Now I just have a handful of channels I'm subscribed to, like John DeMarco's, because once a week on Mondays he does a video about Star Trek stuff. Just here's all the great. It was what was it this week? The crashes, the
Brace for Impact.
Brace for Impact. That's what it was. And so I have just a handful of things like that I subscribe to, and maybe I'll watch one YouTube video a day, just one. And I'm going to bed earlier. I'm waking up earlier. The first thing I do when I wake up now is I'm doing a devotional on Psalm 119 and just going through and writing down each verse, what's going on here, and then I'm preparing to be more of a leader, where they got a packet on becoming a biblical leader, and it's just, hey, here's some basic information about each book of the Bible. And it's a very truncated, like they have this huge one that our elders do, and I have like this real tiny one, because they hope that all of the leaders who teach at my church will eventually go through this, and so it's one of these things where I'm looking at it and just filling my day with productive things instead of useless things. I forget what got me onto this, but
well, we were talking about the virtual pub.
Oh, yeah.
Time to do it now. And
yeah, so one of the reasons I don't have time to do it is because I am doing things like this workbook and things that have more lasting value. And that's not like the virtual pub. I will stand by that to my grave of how important it was at that time. Because I don't know about you, Jeff, but I remember just how horrible it was back then and how alone I felt.
We were very isolated.
Yeah, and
that was an outlet for us, and we thank you for doing that. That was just great.
Well, I'm glad you came on. I'm glad it was helpful. I'm so thankful for Michael, because man, he knew how to keep conversations going.
Oh, he did. Yeah.
And he knew
Still
not how to.
does.
Oh yeah, yeah, he is great at this. He knew not just how to like keep a conversation going, but to actually like dig in and engage and like not just talk but converse.
He is a good conversationalist, indeed. Melphis Sky says that he misses movie nights.
Okay, that was fun. So I need to like maybe at some point over the holiday season, if I get a chance, I should try and find a time to do like a movie night special with Michael. If he does that, if he's up for it.
Oh, I bet he would love that.
The only wrench is that I think the time that I would be most likely to have free time in general is the next time I'm probably heading out to the field. Like we talked very briefly today about when we think the next time would go out is, and I think we're gonna be okay-ish for the next couple weeks.
Okay.
We'll find out. It's they actually made a comment of how like, hey, we like how things are going. We want to really test it before we do the next place. My only concern is if we schedule the next place, then we'll barely be done testing before we're going to the next one. But I don't want to push things out further, and so like it's all up in the air. And that's how these jobs all go. But you know,
Apparently, you got 2 new subs tonight.
oh, I did.
Ninja Cat gave you 2 subs.
Oh, thank you, Ninja Cat, and welcome. Aaron Bezel, how are you doing? Gamer Grad 81. Nice to see you too. But yeah, so that's what's been going on. My wife is probably like, "Oh my goodness, Matt, you've told everyone now." But I kind of feel like it's important. Like, hey, when you realize just how much you've been screwing up, to just come clean about it and be like, guys, wow, I did not realize just where I was at, and it's weird. Like it's so weird. The way the brain works is just weird.
Right.
He has
Weird. All right.
I don't have a better word for it. Like,
Hey, Patrick, have a good night. Sleep well.
Yeah, later, Patrick. I've tried to figure it out, but like the more I think about it, the more I'm like, I cannot begin to fathom that, like I can't begin to fathom that I actually thought I was being productive. Like that's the weirdest part to me. The fact that every day I got to the end of the day, I'm like, that was a great day of work. And yeah, I was ultimately like, it was like, you know, when your car gets stuck in the mud. And like, yeah, I was hitting that gas pedal. I was going at it hard, but it was just spinning, and you weren't actually doing anything.
Stuck in the mud, spinning your wheels.
Anyway,
I'm sorry I got you off on that with the virtual pub.
Yeah,
but you weren't going to talk about that tonight.
Well, you know, I hadn't planned on it, but I definitely, these things happen, and that's life with Matthew. Like, hey, the name of the channel is exactly what you get.
Life with Matthew.
That was such a fun theme song. But like, I don't have a consistent. Oh yeah, I do just smart home stuff. I do just video game stuff. I do just like movie review stuff. It's whatever's going on. Like, hey, this week I'm doing this. That week I'm doing that, and my subscription count does not grow because of it, really. But that's okay. That's life with Matthew. Yeah, who is Matthew? Weird guy. Ninja Cat. Yes, I am using OBS. I like it a lot.
As I am.
Yeah, and the custom cam view. This is something that Jeff got largely put together for me.
Oh, I did?
You did.
Oh, yes. Okay. Yes. The image around our cameras.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Because I'm like, hey, you know, back when I did Babylon 5. No, that's what I'm doing right now.
Back in the day.
Back when I did
years
Sequest,
ago.
which I had that screen right there. So
Right.
I took that, and I'm like, hey Jeff, I'd love to do something like that for Babylon 5, the right kind of a screen for them. And he's like, well, they don't really have like a, you know, view screen in Babylon 5, but I think I got something for you. And he did. I like it a lot.
Well, I forgot about it because I can't see it on the screen that I'm looking at. I
Oh,
have to
that's
look over
right.
at the YouTube stream. It's not on our screen, so
Yeah, so I don't like, we use StreamYard so we can talk back and forth, but it just gives boring square boxes.
right.
So I do a screen capture of StreamYard, and then I do my overlays on top of it. So
OBS.
I'm weird like
He's a
that.
smart guy.
I'd be smarter if somehow I could prevent all the auto issues and all the other issues.
Right?
But I'm actually getting a little
One
bit
day.
better.
One day you'll have it
Never.
all conquered.
Never. Well, guys, how about we do some Babylon 5 stuff? What do you think, Jeff?
I think that's a good idea. I think that's why we're here, isn't it?
I think it might be. So let's talk about this week's Babylon 5. And hey, Mrs. Brainy Specs, glad you're here. This week's Babylon 5 is going to be season 2, episode 9, right?
9, yes.
The Coming of Shadows, which
Ooh.
I've been told that each season has a name. So season 1 was named something or other. Season 2,
Signs and portents.
Signs and Portents, and then that season name also, there's an episode with the same name. This
That's right.
week, the season name is this episode name, The Coming of Shadows.
I think Gorilla wants you to say hello to him.
Oh, hey Gorilla, how are you doing?
He's posted that twice.
Well, Gorilla, as you're well aware, I am phenomenally bad at keeping up with the chat. I try, but yeah, I'm just bad at it. I'm very mediocre at it, as I tell my high school friends. But I had a guess, right, Jeff, about what this week would be?
You did. You thought this would be a Jakar episode. Maybe we would see Discount Rod Sterling. More about who is supporting the Shadows, not the Shadows themselves. And B5 is kind of a funnel point for the Shadow supporters as they gather.
I think I got a good chance of being in the ballpark on this guess.
Thomas says a wrong guess. We'll see.
Now, I will admit, I looked at the name for next week's episode. I got nothing. Like, that episode, it gives me nothing to work with. We'll talk about it when we get there, but I think this week I got a chance. So you're saying there's a chance?
Now, before you do start this episode up, I do want to say something about it.
Oh,
this episode won the 1996 Hugo Award for Best Dramatic Presentation.
Oh,
and it's the first television episode outside of Star Trek, The Next Generation, and The Twilight Zone to have won that award.
okay. Now the Hugo, it was for all cinematic media, right? So movie, TV show.
Also books.
Oh, it includes books
stories,
too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Printed material. Yeah.
And this was at a time when the Hugo Award actually meant something.
Yes, I would say so. Now, what was it up against? It was up against Apollo 13,
Whoa.
12 Monkeys, Toy Story, the first movie, and Star Trek Deep Space Nine, the episode The Visitor. It beat them all.
Let's see, The Visitor. That wasn't a Jake Sisko one.
It was.
No.
Yes.
The one where he's getting older?
Yes.
Oh. That episode, man.
So
Oh,
heavy competition on.
well, let's just set the bar real high for me. I'm sorry. Um, The Visitor is one of my favorite Deep Space Nine episodes.
Mine too. That's a great episode.
Tell you what, we're gonna get this started. We'll if I don't get too bad sidetracked, we're gonna talk about this during the opening credits. Um, but let me go ahead and get this started. So here's the way it works, everyone. You can come if I actually drop the link in the chat. Let's put that there, and let's go ahead and pin it. There we go. So you can come to that link I just dropped in the chat, and it will sync up all of our watch times together so that as we're talking about it or, whatever I've been distracted by, hopefully we're all seeing the same thing at the same time or within a couple of seconds of each other. If you're here in the future, you can't go there. Sorry, this is only valid while this stream is going. You will need your own source, in which case I always highly suggest just buying the physical media. That will always be my top choice. But if you don't want to do that, I mean, in a couple of weeks, it's going to be Black Friday. You're kind of, stalling a little bit. You can go to Tubi TV and you can watch it for free with ads right now. Otherwise, you can always buy it on Amazon, the digital media. You can get on Google Play. You can get on iTunes, I'm sure. There's lots of digital ways to get this, any of which will be great for letting you see it. But ideally, go support a 20-year-old show by buying some physical media for it. You won't be disappointed. And you have a good night, Shy. Am I streaming it on that link? Basically, this syncs up all of our watch times together, so it is the full video.
And I just looked up the physical media for Blu-rays.
Yeah,
Amazon. It's still $73.50.
Good price.
Excellent price for all 5 seasons on Blu-ray.
Visitor was boring, you say, Thomas? No, okay, we'll talk about this, Thomas. We will. We will. The site is pinned up there in the chat. So you can click there and it'll take you to the screening room so we can all sync up our watch times together. Beyond that, I will do this. There we are. So this will show a still image once every 7-ish seconds, and it will let you just have a reference for what everyone else is seeing. There should be no audio, he said with uncertainty. Yes, there should be no audio on the stream itself. This is only just so you got a visual representation and just one still image, updates every 7-9 seconds, something like that. So with all of that, yeah, we'll talk about it on the virtual pub. Oh, wait. Thanks, Thomas. I do feel the love. Thank you, Thomas. With all that said, I'll give us a quick 3 countdown so that if you're here in the future and you're using your own media to watch this, you can hit the play button and still be synced up to, about the same time as we are. So here we go. 3, 2, 1. Hit that play button, everyone. Okay, I do kind of miss shows having the matte backgrounds where they just paint it. Now, I think that may have been CGI.
It was.
Early CGI. He does not look Centauri at all.
He's lost his hair.
Without the hair, I mean, they're just human looking.
He does.
Ninja Cat wants to know, are these DVD or Blu-ray or pre-FX updates? So what we're doing right now, this is what I purchased off Amazon. And they are the high def post FX work. Now there are a couple little spots with the Amazon version I have. They kind of messed up, uh,
Yeah.
and in those cases I've had to buy the Google version. He's also in TOS, the Trial of Captain Pike. Are you talking about the Prime Minister or the Emperor?
The prime minister was. That's Malachi Thrawn. He was the voice of the Keeper in The Cage and the Menagerie Part 2. He was also Commodore Jose Mendez, also
Hmm.
in the Menagerie. He also played Pardek in Unification, TNG.
Now I know he wasn't, but to me his face looked like the TOS episode, the Something of the King, the Shakespearean troupe one.
Conscious of the King.
Conscious of the King, yes.
No, that was not him. Now, we're talking about the prime minister, not the emperor.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, sorry. I was saying the Emperor looks like him. I can recognize that the Prime
Ah,
Minister
okay.
doesn't look like the Conscious of the King guy. So this whole time, Jakar is extremely upset about the fact that the president, the Emperor, is coming here, and Sinclair
Sheridan.
Sheridan uh, Sheridan is strongly encouraging him, like, hey, you can make any of these bad choices you want, but you have at this moment an option to open up true dialogue with the emperor of your enemies. Uh, and it's interesting. Jakar rejects it when at the end of the last season, when Sinclair talks about, this is a turning point. You talked about how your people used to be farmers and peaceful, and this is a moment in history where you can choose peace. Jakar was willing to go at that moment. He was willing to try and sue for peace, and
Oh,
or that was the beginning of this
part was
season.
one thing Sheridan tells him is that it wasn't him that caused all the atrocities. It was the emperor's father, the prior emperor.
Mm. So I got the feeling that um, things have progressed. Like, I feel like if it had been back in that last episode when Sinclair made that play about them being at the crossroads, Jakar would have been more open to talking to the Emperor. But things have progressed beyond that at
Possibly.
this point. I said we'd talk about the Visitor during the opening, but I nope, uh,
Didn't
missed it.
happen.
Visitor, one of my favorite DS9 episodes. Just really, the actor they got to play old Jake did a phenomenal job.
Tony Todd.
Like I feel like more than it being Avery Brooks, that character was the main character of the episode.
He was.
Was it Candyman?
Tony Todd.
So uh, Londo has an opportunity to talk to the Emperor. The Emperor doesn't know what the discussion's about. This guy has written Londo's speech that he's going to give.
Lord Rifa.
And Lord Rifa, we've seen him once before,
We
as I
have.
recall. He was
We
the
have.
one. He was the one pressuring or encouraging Londo to usurp the throne, kinda.
Yes, he was.
I mean, they are really staging a coup at this point. It's a light coup.
Make the Emperor look weak.
I mean, so this reefer guy, he's being very shrewd.
He
He
is.
he's setting things up such that the emperor will look weak and they will look forward thinking. And he's not trying. It sounds like he's not trying to get him immediately deposed. He's trying to set things up so that soon, when the emperor dies naturally, they will be in a position for people to remember how forward thinking they were and to support their ascension to the throne. Am I interpreting that correctly there?
No, I think you got it exactly right.
I mean, it's
It's very
interesting because
conniving.
yeah, very conniving. Um, it's interesting because it almost expresses a care for his people. Like if all he cared about was victory, he would be trying to get this emperor deposed as quickly as he could. He wouldn't care if there's a civil revolution. He'd just be pushing forward. But instead, it seems like he wants power, but he wants it without bloodshed.
Not Lord Kiefer. Rifa. Omni.
Now, what is the emperor's the actor who plays what's his name?
His name is um Turhan Bey. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right. He
Let's
originally
see.
auditioned for Elric in Geometry of Shadows, but they chose Michael Ansara, who played Kang on Star Trek,
Oh.
because Ansara was more menacing.
It's fair.
But they liked the actor so much, they got another character for him.
Let's see. He I'm sure I'm wrong about this, as I am with like most faces. But he looks like there's a movie called The Pyromaniac's Love Story, and he looks like one of the main characters from it. Oh, he was in Sequest too.
Okay.
That's cool. Yeah, he wasn't in Pyromaniacs. Too bad. He was in a lot of
Uh-oh.
war movies. No, Matthew, he wasn't Mace Windu. I don't. He just looks like him, Thomas. But Jakar, he's gonna try and assassinate the guy, and he is prepared for the consequences that come with it. He says, "When I strike, either we'll both die, or I will live and spend the rest of my life in incarceration."
This set is almost entirely green screen.
Really?
Yes. We have seen it before.
Hmm.
Just a little
Like
bit of the floor is an actual set.
they did a nice job. I thought that for sure the bars and the sloped wall would have been a practical effect or physical equipment. And Ninja's saying that the guys look digital too. Maybe that's what makes me think the stuff behind them is real. Omni's saying the stars spin in this room, but not in CNC. Yes. Now, that does make sense because when they zoom in on the CNC in the opening credits, it's in the center. So this it looks like the CNC isn't moving, which does make a little question for how they'd have gravity. Everything has to move, right? There's no free wheeling spots. Like everything rotates.
Right. Magnetic boots, possibility. It's a distinct possibility, Ninja Cat.
Melphis is saying he was in Alibaba in the fourth. Yeah, he was in, like looking through his IMDb, he was in a ton of just classic war type movies. You know who we haven't seen in a while? His aide.
No, we haven't seen Natot very much.
But he mentions her right here. He's leaving her his book of I miss his
Jaquan.
Jaquan, which is a nice callback to the fact that he has been shown as a religious figure, not just an ambassador on the station, like a, a priest.
Centauri telepaths have a unique ability, rather.
What's that?
Well, the Emperor has four women that accompany him. And when he travels, he takes two with him to stay at the palace. And they instantly know anything that happens on the other side.
Oh, I missed the telepath line. Okay.
Yeah. Who is this guy?
Who is that masked stranger anyway? Yeah, like a Borg interlink.
At least Garibaldi, if I can talk tonight, Garibaldi is watching his back.
Yeah. He was warned about that.
Yes, he was.
Dolores knows what's up.
She knows something.
Uh-oh. Okay, so this is interesting. That kind of ruins their entire plan.
It does.
Not only is Jakar's plan derailed, but by dying before they get to make their speech, Lando's not put into a position of like, hey, here's a forward-thinking guy. All his machinations have been
Kind of
undermined as
ruined that.
well.
And here's the other two women on Satari Prime. They know what happened.
Josh is saying that only the dock on the spine of the station doesn't spin. Yeah, I thought the CNC was more toward the center, but I guess it is offset from the center. So the Emperor is asking Franklin to deliver a message for him. He says that if I entrust it to one of my people, it might never be delivered, so this is important. Yeah, Thomas, how dare the Emperor die while people have plans to kill him? Just so rude. Right.
Uh-oh.
Okay, so Reefer was just lamenting the fact that their plans are being undermined. If only there was a way to do something. And Londo remembers what Discount Rod Sterling said, just pick a target. And Veer, he tries to stop him. Yeah, Joel, Veer almost stopped a war. And Londo, he's convinced he has no choice. And Veer, he's saying, please, 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 I know you don't listen to me. Just this once. You have a choice. Don't do this. And Londo is saying, am I going to have to go to get him myself? And Veer says, no, I'll go and I'll bring him back. But someday I'm going to remind you of this conversation. I look forward to that. Like, knowing how much JMS has put into planning this out, I'm hoping that we don't get an immediate payoff to that comment. Like, I don't want Veer to come back in this episode. I want this to happen like a season away, you know? Or at the very least at the end of this season. And Jakar's, he's so upset by all this. Like, never in my life has this something like this happens. You think he could at least waited a few more minutes before keeling over.
Sounds like Thomas.
But he composes himself. Enter. And the Emperor had a message for Jakar.
Interesting.
And so the message he wanted to convey was he's sorry. Jakar thought for sure it was going to be a threat. But no, he wanted to say he was sorry. The whole reason he came, he endangered his life just so he could stand by a Narn and publicly apologize. And he said, we were wrong. The hatred between our people can never end until one person is willing to take a stand. And meanwhile, so here we are. a massive peace olive branch being handed off, and Londo is about to escalate things.
Mm.
I I love this. I absolutely love this because we are seeing now twice at minimum we had a moment, an opportunity for peace to prevail, and it's being undermined. And that's the techno mage, his vision,
Yes.
isn't
I see a
he?
great hand reaching from the star.
And people calling your name or cheering or something like that, and it was his victims.
Ooh.
And then he remembered, or at the very beginning, he made a comment about this exact thing, that he had a vision that he would someday die with his hands wrapped around Jakar's neck. Okay, so the question is right there, when he woke up, was there a moment where he wanted to cancel it?
That's an interesting thought. I never considered that before.
Because he wakes up from this dream, this vision he had, and then he looks at the clock, and he almost has a rueful tone of voice of, "It's begun." Like he wasn't like, "It's begun." It almost was like, "What have I done?" But again, it's too late. He made his choice.
He did.
Oh, these shadow spiders, what are they? Yeah, who knows? No one's ever talked about these shadow spiders before.
You can say a lot about these CGI, how early it is, how crude or primitive they look. This is great. I think they're great visuals.
I think they hold up. I
They
mean,
look really good, I think.
I also admit I'm biased where we grew up where this was cutting edge at one point.
Right. I think that was great. Well done.
Yeah. Now, so I'd be curious to know like what my son would think about these graphics. I think he'd be appreciative of them. More regret from Londo. Oh, and Jakar is willing to have peace at this moment. And meanwhile, Londo is feeling guilty.
Great acting between these two actors.
And so Jakar is saying he was, what's the word? Racist isn't the right word. It's the best I got. He was racist against Londo's entire species. He didn't think there was one single redeeming quality in any of them. And now he's had a revelation that there is good, and that the blind hate he had was was detrimental.
Londo
And
is
yeah,
feeling
Texas.
guilty as hell.
Uh, Peter has a way of acting with just his eyes. Phenomenal job going on here. Like, okay, so one, it seemed like he was already starting to regret um, having the attack done. And then you had the dialogue there with Lord Reefer, where um, Reefer talked about, or Reefer Kiefer. Someone said Reefer in the chat. Was that a joke? I believe
His
them.
name is Lord Rifa.
Rifa. They
Rifa.
got me. You got okay. Lord Rifa. It is Lord Reefer. No, Lord Rifa. Um, he made some comment about there being an obstacle and removing it, and Londo seemed like, whoa, wait, I didn't realize um,
Uh-oh.
we'd be killing any Centauri,
Oh,
and we got a bit of a Julius Caesar thing going on here.
Prime Minister.
So now he has regret about what he's doing with Lord Rifa, and now Jakar comes suing for peace. Well, not suing for peace, but you know what I mean. Pressing peace.
He's ahead of. Yep.
Londo knows that he's made a bad choice.
Yes. Texas is right. Pay attention to this closely.
Now, I feel like this guy could have said something earlier. Hey, Sinclair.
Sinclair.
I mean, at least I'm not sure if you call it a cameo, but a cameo of sorts. He's saying that there's a great darkness coming. That his mission to the not Centauri, the Mbari, his his uh his mission to the Mbari world is more than just being an ambassador. And that there's a group of people, some humans, some Mbari, who have been drawn to this location to fight the coming darkness. And Garibaldi, he's like, wait, armies need weapons. Are those coming through here? I do like how that was one of his primary concerns. Omni's saying that he recorded this before he left the show. Oh wow!
Actually, I looked that up. He recorded it during episode 1 of season 2.
Ooh, y'all hear that? Got some thunder over here.
I heard that. Yes.
Uh, so yeah, the the Centauri led the attack. It wasn't just the Shadow Spiders this time around.
Well, they kind of showed up after the fact, but
So he's a little upset. Uh,
just a little.
he said he knew Londo. I'm assuming he knew and he betrayed me.
He's definitely talking about Londo.
Stay close to the Vorlon and watch out for shadows. He's a little upset. He's shouting out
Andreas,
from.
his acting was just brilliant in this episode.
He's screaming for Malari, and Sheridan. He's saying, just stop. If you stop now, no charges will be pressed. And he's saying, you're going to need a friend. And you're going to have to decide what's more important to you, revenge or saving the life of your people. And he slams his knife into the wall and collapses. And he leaves him. I, I didn't expect him just to walk away. And Franklin says, is there anything you want? And he said, I would very much like to see a Vorlon.
Guess who shows up?
A shadow spider? Oh, a Vorlon.
Kosh.
And so he asks, how will this end? And Kosh says, in fire. So how did the Emperor know what's going on?
Well, his telepath probably told him.
Okay, so Garibaldi is sharing what information he can. He said he can't tell his source, but he's just asking him to be trusted anyway. And he suspects that this other race, Shadow Spiders, were behind the attack on Quadrant 14. And so they're saying, we have wonderful news. We've retaken the colony in Quadrant 14. And he's saying, we're again what we should be, and all we lack is your blessing.
Let's talk to Malari.
But he doesn't trust Lord Rifa, I guess.
Omni.
I want to see Londo's redemption arc. I hope he has one. He's dead. What did he say? He said, Londo's
Continue.
lying. The Emperor said, That's right, Thomas.
Telepaths are not buying it.
So Londo claims that the Emperor's last words were, continue, take my people back to the stars. And Rifa says, what did he say really? And he said that we're both cursed. And Lord Rifa says, well, that's a small enough price to pay for immortality, which was a something that was on the show previously. So I don't know if he's being literal or not in that moment. Like maybe he means infamous through all history.
Yeah, I don't think he means it literally. Great acting.
So Sheridan says he has an idea for how he thinks he might help, but he called a council meeting in hopes that Jakar will come. And yeah, Texas, I like the imagery of Jakar sitting there holding the book of Jaquan as well. I was trying to figure out if that's what it was or if it was a piece of the stone table he had broken.
I'm not sure.
Wow. So Londo, uh, Sheridan is asking to let the survivors get back to the Narn homeworld, and Londo says, no, 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 we can't allow that. But we'll find some productive activity for them. And so the Earth Force is going to send observers to make sure that the prisoners are being treated properly. And uh, Londo tries to say they can't come. He says, well, too bad. They're coming anyway. And he says they're going to put together a full report, including how on Earth the colony was defeated so quickly. And so Londo, uh, he's backing down a little bit. He's saying, I believe I can convince my government to allow the Narn civilians to come back to their homeworld. Uh, if we do this gesture of goodwill, will you recall your Earth forces from, sending their observers? And he makes an agreement. Yeah, we'll do that. And Jakar is saying that for 100 years, the Centauri occupied their homeworld, and that they have crossed a line that they should not be allowed to cross. And so his the hope for peace is over. They're now at war with the Centauri. The Narn are officially at war.
Yes, Omni. The last best hope for peace, Babylon 5. It failed.
On to Babylon 6. Or back to 4.
The station's still there.
And so Rifa is saying that there's been several powerful families neutralized. So not quite as a bloodless coup as I was thinking. He went out for blood. And they're gonna they're going to get the Emperor's nephew in control. And he says, when it happens, you're going to find the Emperor's gratitude not lacking. And Veer is saying, I'm surprised. Uh, you could have been asked to be named to the Emperor's court. It would have set you up to be Emperor someday. Isn't that what you wanted? And Londo, Londo has no desire to be Emperor now. And he says, I'd rather be behind the scenes. The rewards may not be so great, but the risks are far, far less. Hey, Aaron Bezel. Yeah, let's hope the next Emperor will be a nicer guy.
Hmm. Time will tell. Always does.
And Garibaldi asks if anyone else knows that Sinclair's informant is here. And he says, there's just one other. Which is, I'm assuming Dolores.
Dolores, yes. We just saw her put the crystal in. We heard Sinclair say, hello, old friend.
So that was the coming of shadows. I cannot claim being right on this one. Like, no matter how much I stretch it, no, my prediction was not correct.
Well, you did get one thing right. It was a Jakar episode.
That's true.
Very, very much so.
It did deal a lot more heavily with the shadow spiders. Well, I mean, I said not at all, so any amounts more heavily than what I predicted. But
we didn't see him very much. We didn't even see discount Rod Sterling.
That's right. Now, honestly, okay, the scene at the very end when Sheridan came into Jakar's quarters, I thought that was going to be Rod Sterling at that point.
Ah.
I thought he was going to be there to offer something else. I thought this was going to be one big power play where now he's going to have to ramp things up even higher. But I guess there's no point to it. He's already achieved everything he wants to achieve at this moment.
It would seem so. And yes, Omni, Morden was mentioned, but not seen.
Yes. So, Jeff, thoughts about the episode?
Great episode. I think it's one of the best of season 2. I don't know if it's better than The Visitor. Visitor gets me in, gets me crying, actually. I cry at that episode every time I see it. Great episode. But it is a very powerful episode. And it sets a tone, I think, for the rest of season 2 and even beyond. So expect good things to come. Yes. Kiefer is polishing his ship. He's getting it ready, Omni.
Thomas has been wondering where Kiefer's been this whole time. He's vamoosed. I guess he's on vacation at Ryza.
On Ryza. Okay. Yeah. That's interesting. But yes, this was the first television episode to win that award that was not part of Star Trek or The Twilight Zone. The episodes of Star Trek that won this award, the best dramatic presentation, were The Menagerie, City on the Edge of Forever, and The Next Generation, The Inner Light, and All Good Things.
Okay, All Good Things, sure. Inner Light was what episode?
That's the one where Picard lives the life in a dream almost.
The probe.
The rays. The probe. Yeah.
He learns to do the flute. Okay.
Yep. That's the one.
That's a solid episode. I'll grant them that.
I think it's a little overrated myself, but still good episode.
I think Sarek was a much better episode. So I wonder, like, you hear about, hey, this episode won the award, and it makes you wonder what was Sarek going against for it not to win the award. That's the one
Oh,
where,
Sarek?
yeah. And let me make sure I'm thinking of the right episode. It's the one where they find out that he's losing his ability to regulate his emotions,
Yes.
and so Picard does a mind meld with him and takes
Swan
on that
Sarek.
burden. Yeah. And
I
you know,
was
to be
trying
fair,
to make sure you were not talking about another Vulcan. You were saying Sarek. You were saying Sarek, and it's Sarek.
Okay, so Omni, I was about to make this point that, to be fair, the reason that episode is such a magnificent episode to me is Patrick Stewart's almost soliloquy they gave him, where he is
Very
alone
powerful.
alone with Beverly. So not alone. He's with Beverly, but the way they do the lighting, the way Beverly's like in shadow off to the side, and they pan around so that it's just him. So you understand, like, even though Beverly is there, Picard in the mental state he's in is in a mindset of being alone. And then they just let him go, and it is bar none one of the best scenes Stewart has given, in my opinion. Was it Deanna? Maybe it was Deanna. I thought it was Beverly. I guess Deanna would make more sense for being a therapist.
I was thinking Deanna as well. Oh, Omni is saying it was Beverly. Okay.
All right. I was hoping I was right. I'm like, this is one of my favorite scenes, and I can't even remember who's in it.
It's been a while since I've seen it.
So that scene is why I hold the episode in such extreme regard. So, maybe
Good.
Maybe the entire episode isn't better than Inner Light, but that one scene just floors me every time.
Personally, I would have voted for Apollo 13 out of that list. This episode was against for that award.
I have to wonder what sort of politics was happening in the background. Because,
well, I don't know. This is a very minor show back then. Not a lot of people were watching it. Mm-hmm. So what made it win? What kind of politics would have made it win? I'm not sure.
Well, I was thinking more like, I can see how people giving out awards would be like, okay, Apollo 13, phenomenal. But it already has so many awards. Like it is getting visuals, practical effects, acting, writing, best actor. I forget all the awards it got. And they're like,
Texas. Sorry.
Yeah.
Texas, this was not for Sci-Fi. It was just a general cinematic presentation, dramatic presentation, excuse me. It's not Sci-Fi exclusive.
So I do wonder if they're like, hey, since they're getting so many awards already, how about we give this to someone else? Because Apollo 13 has already won enough accolades.
That is possible.
I do think the Visitor was better than this episode. That said,
it certainly pulls at the heartstrings.
Jakar's acting, Jakar and Lando's acting was out of this world in this episode.
I agree. Top notch.
I mean, the rage you got to feel from Jakar, the brokenness he had at the end. Wow. I almost think... Oh, go ahead.
Omni's right. I think this is a bigger story than The Visitor and has a lot of bigger visual effects. So it's got a lot
Yeah.
more going on. And like I said, it sets the tone for the rest of this season.
Um, I was gonna say, but more than Jakar's acting, I almost feel like Londo did the best bit of acting just in his silence
Yes.
and
Yes.
that horror he had. I mean, you get that slapstick humor of him trying to run away and running into a running into the crowd and thinking that Jakar is about to throttle him because he knows he deserves it, and
Right.
instead of getting throttled, he buys him the drink and then he sings the praises of the emperors, and you get this moment where Londo is like, "What have I done?" And he conveys it all just through his awkwardness and just through his silence. I'm shocked. I'm shocked that he is able to convey that much emotion so quietly.
So we do get a glimpse into the future. Londo sees himself dying with his hands around Jakar's throat. What happened to Jakar? Looked like something happened to his eye.
I didn't notice that. I saw he looked real different, but I assumed it was just because they're both really old.
Well, he had a strip over one of his eyes.
Oh,
That's something to watch for, I guess.
he
But
became a
is
pirate
it
in his old age.
but is it prophetic? Because Londo says he doesn't want to be emperor.
He says that, but a man often meets his destiny on the road to avoid it. They say.
There was another interesting sequence in that dream. Londo looks like he's out in a desert area. He's looking up at the sky and he sees shadow vessels flying over. He's never seen those vessels before.
Oh,
So why are they popping up in his dream?
well, they have mentioned that the the Centauri have some prophetic abilities.
Right. Well, especially death.
Yeah. Uh, Now, one things that I greatly appreciate about this episode is the Londo had a line. I think it was Londo. He had a line about um, getting back what was the Centauri's or the Centauri's getting back to their rightful place, and that harkens back to a concept that was in the pilot, but they didn't really pick up again too much afterwards. He described the Centauri as those little nursery type fish that they attached themselves to the biggest predator, and right now that was the humans. And
He did say that.
he lamented it, and then they picked it up again back with Discount Rod Sterling when he said, "But what do you want?" And I forget the exact quote he gave, but it was something to the tune of, he wants to see all the Narn lying at his feet, and he wants to see the Centauri people risen to the prominence they once had. And so,
Wait, he did say about the Great Centauri Republic open 9 to 5 with a few monuments and that sort of thing. Or just a tourist attraction now.
hmm, so I'm I am loving how they are having Londo walk this line right now, where he keeps pursuing more evil, but then he also has these moments where he's like horrified by the
Yes.
evil.
Although it's starting to get easier for him.
It is.
He just kind of walked into it the first time. He didn't realize what was going to happen. Second time, he was very hesitant. This time, he said, "Go get Mr. Morden. Do I have to go get him myself?
Yeah. Now I do wonder. It's
I don't
almost
have a
like,
choice."
yeah, he is falling into the sunk cost fallacy, where he feels like he's so far in that he has to keep going further in. Um, but it's almost like he has this mindset of, oh, we can achieve greatness by doing this, and then he sees how devastating it was to get that after the fact. It's like he almost has this disconnect. Like, oh yeah, people are gonna die. It's not that bad. And then he actually sees the death toll, and it's like, whoa, maybe this was worse than I thought.
It's getting real.
Or maybe it was the interaction with Jakar specifically that um it turned it from an abstract I hate Narn and I want them to die into a this is a Narn, a specific one that I know, that I've been at odds with, and here he is saying this stuff, and it's forcing me to reevaluate my perspectives on the Narn. Which, talking out loud, this is um a great reflection of what we see happen with Jakar. Jakar was having this exact same thing.
He was.
And
That's excellent.
and he had one Centauri change his opinion. And just like before at the crossroads, he went for peace. And then we had the exact same thing happen with Londo. One Narn changed his opinion, but it was too late for him again. And I'm loving it. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba, I'm loving it. Okay. So
It's
excellent
getting really
episode.
good.
Yeah.
From here on out, J. Michael Straczynski, I think, writes every episode except 2, maybe 3. So you're going to get pretty much just the main story arc from here on out. You're not going to get very many side stories.
Now is Harlan
Ellison? He's a consultant for the show.
Okay.
Yeah.
McDonald's is going to copyright claim my video now. Maybe I did use their jingle.
Yeah, he's a consultant for the show.
Doesn't write the scripts. I feel like you can almost see his hand here and there. Like I'm curious how much consultant work he did, because I don't know enough of JMS's work outside of Babylon 5 to know that, like, oh, this is all just JMS. Like, this is an honorary role, an honorary title being given to Harlan. For all I know, that's the case. But since I don't know enough of JMS's work, like I see this and I'm like, man, I just feel like I can see how Harlan must be taking what's already a diamond and just like shining it up so it really glimmers. I love getting to see kind of his work continue on post Star Trek. For him, at least. So before we talk Gropus, before we talk about that episode, Jeff, any thoughts about this episode that we haven't covered?
Just an excellent episode. Great acting. It sets up the story for the rest of the season, I think. Excellent.
Absolutely excellent. Yeah. Texas wants to know, what did I think of the Anal Shuk, the Rangers? I want to see more of them. When they said the Rangers, I immediately thought of Star Trek Picard's Rangers.
They're actually modeled off the Texas Rangers.
Good.
Texan Ranger, yes.
Texas. I get it now.
Now, did they actually use the word Anloshok in this episode? I was listening for it and I didn't hear it. And yes, now you get what that means.
Now I get your screen name. It all comes together eventually. Yeah.
It does. Yeah, I don't think they did. We'll hear the word Anloshok eventually. Anloshok is the Minbari word for Rangers.
Okay. And Thomas, what about the Power Rangers? I, as an adult, like, so I missed that craze. I was too old for it. As an adult, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to give this a shot. I want to see what all the hype was about the Power Rangers. I didn't make it a full episode before I said, nope, nope, nope. This is not going to be a thing that happens. Uh, it was the scene where the queen comes out of stasis and she understood the assignment. I'll give her that. She chewed up that scene and spat it out again and chewed it up. Um, it was a thing, and I do not lament my choice not to watch beyond that point.
So for the rest of this season, JMS writes them all except three. I believe next season he writes every single episode. He did. And season 4, he wrote all of them. He wrote all of them in season 4 as well.
Mm-hmm.
Season 5, I think there's 1 or 2 that he did not write. Just 1. Huh. So you have about 77 episodes, 78 episodes left. He wrote them all except for 4.
Wow. That is an intense writing schedule.
Indeed.
I mean, we are talking 26 episodes a year.
It's 22, but
22.
Close. 22.
I mean, he must have taken his downtime and just spent all of it writing for the next season.
Sure he did.
And then, of course, once the season started up, it's not like he got time off to recuperate. He would have been editing each episode and providing like script changes. Yeah, I mean, I bet he was destroyed after these seasons. That is, this is clearly a work of passion for him. For anyone to take on that responsibility and keep doing it, it is a work of love and passion at that point.
Yes, John, his wires had been cut. That's an in-joke. Jep nerdy in-joke.
Oh, okay. So hey, let us make some predictions.
Gropos. Now, before you say anything, Matthew,
okay.
We have heard the word Gropos once before.
Okay.
Ground pounders? Gropos? In reference to the military, ground pounders.
Was that the episode with the demon? Where
I don't remember which episode that was in. It was in a recent one, a few episodes back.
The long dark, perhaps? No. I'm thinking the Geometry of Shadows.
Amos was a Gropos.
Barkley.
Long dark. Yeah.
Not
Long dark. Yeah. Well, it's not Barkley, but yeah. Dwight Schultz.
Okay.
Played Amos.
Yeah, Thomas, they could say a word 1,000 times and I wouldn't remember. Only if it's a name. I'm actually really good at remembering things in general. It's just names. It's a hole in my head.
There's a hole in your mind. It just leaks out.
It does. Okay, so
I kind of gave you a little nudge there, a little clue.
So a war has just started up. We're going to be focusing on the main plot from here on out. We got the issues going on with Mars right now. We have the presidential coup that no one really realizes is a coup. We've got the Narn and Centauri. Kosh knows this is all going to end in fire.
And what did he mean by that? He didn't really talk about that. Kosh was in this episode twice, two scenes. He was in the council meeting later. But he only had one line of 2 words.
In fire.
In fire, in response to the question, how will this end?
So I can only imagine that he's talking about the entire universe just being set ablaze. Like, not, I don't feel like this is a literal fire, but talking about how this can become a galactic wide war, just raising everything. Which
Kosh must have been thinking about roasting marshmallows. John.
So if I was a higher race, I could see it where once you get to that level, so okay, so you know the 5 stages of civilization. Harness all the energy on your own planet, harness the energy in your solar system of your sun,
right.
And then of like a universe, and then multi-universe or multi-galaxy.
I think
Galaxy and then universe. Yeah. So
does it go that high?
I think so.
Okay.
Maybe it stops at all the resources of the galaxy. But the point is, like, humanity right now, we're not even a level 0 civilization. We cannot harness all the power of our own planet. So I imagine that with each increase in civilization level, that the needs of resources you have increases exponentially. Like, if I were to create something that could go around my entire sun and harness 100% of its energy, like a Dyson sphere around my sun, the amount of resources it would take to create such a thing, frankly, is greater than the resources within that one solar system. Like,
most likely,
theoretically, yeah. So I can only imagine that the the shadow spiders have reached a point of technological advancement where any other race, like a galaxy full of lesser races, is causing active competition for the resources. And they would be using them ineffectually. Like, hey, we're trying to do this amazing stuff with it, and you guys are over here, smashing 2 computers together, hoping to create a spark so you can create fire. Like, you guys are just abusing the resources. And Josh is saying the proper name for that. The scale type 1 is planetary civilization, type 3 is galactic. Okay. And we're at like sub-0. We're at -1. It's something like that.
Well, I think we're sub 1. We're like 0.1 or something.
Okay.
Might be higher than that, but it's definitely under 1.
So I could see it being where they would want the lesser races to actively destroy one another, because the more they destroy each other, the less they're using the resource. Like, if they can get them all to wipe each other out, then they get the universe for themselves. So it would make sense to do that. The only other situation I could see would be if they actually, it wasn't about the resources, but it would be about maybe instead of gaining or driving energy and sustenance from conventional energy, they derived energy and sustenance from emotional energy. And I could see this actually being a big thing between the light creatures and the shadow spiders, where you have one group of people. Yeah,
Uh-oh.
one group of people. And thank you, Janeway, for your donation. She says, "What are you even talking
Oh,
about? I
dear.
have a headache. I guess I'll go shoot 600,000 Tuvixes."
God.
No, so like I could see it being where you have the light people being a group of aliens that said, "Hey, we can use so-called positive emotions as our sustenance," and then on the other side you have the shadow spiders, and they derive sustenance off of chaos and entropy and stuff like that. And so I could see it being a war done between these two, not directly because they don't benefit from it, but a war of ideals with the lesser races because that's where they get their sustenance from. Um, I really got on a tangent there. We're talking
That's okay.
about
That was really interesting.
everything, Uh, everything in the kitchen sink on that.
Pretty much. I think we started it with talking about what Gropos might be.
Oh yeah, and then we got talking about all the wars and stuff. Wow,
Yeah.
wow. Uh, I guess I was really stalling on trying to come up with something for this title. Wait, I was talking about all the different things going on right now. So I I don't see them leaving the station. The station is a character in the show, and we're not going to go. We'll hear about news from Mars. We'll see things happening in news reports from Mars, but I don't see us actually leaving the station any more than you really had episodes of Voyager that didn't have Voyager in it. It was a cast member without being a cast member. So whatever's happening is happening on the station. Uh, okay, we'll go with this. With the escalating war going on right now at Babylon 5, uh, Earth forces have deployed a group of soldiers to Babylon 5 whose goal is to be a rapid deployment fleet. And their presence is causing issues on the station for Garibaldi as he attempts to keep the peace, while you have a bunch of jarheads, Gropos, who are just itching for a fight, and they are escalating issues, which is causing him issues. Yeah, Makos. That's another same thing. Jarhead, Makos, Gropos. Matthew looked it up, cheater. Yeah, 100% got it. Nailed it. No, definitely didn't have any assistance in the terms of giving me help, reminding me what a Gropos even was. All just up here. I can clearly see what's going to happen. Yeah. I'm shocked I got to guess it all, man.
You think you have it right.
It turns
They're
out it's going
just
to be a
trying to.
musical starring
Well,
Jakar, and
they could be misleading you. So
they could.
you know how they are.
I do. Oh, how I do.
Shame on you, Thomas. Shame on you, Omni.
But hey, great episode this week. Really enjoyed it. Jeff, final words to wrap it up.
I think Dr. Franklin kind of redeemed himself a little bit this week. I think he had a good little speech to Jakar. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Thomas.
Yeah, Omni, I was making a joke. You guys are misleading me. It's actually going to be a musical starring Natoth and Jakar.
Oh, maybe it's this Kiefer guy that is going to be the main star. You know.
Oh,
in the musical.
Yeah, there we go. Well, guys, thanks so much for hanging out with what was just a fantastic episode. And I look forward to seeing you all next week at the Hour of Scampering on Monday as usual. Everyone, take care.
Have a good night. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to hit that like button and share it with your friends. If you haven't subscribed yet, I hope you will, and be sure to hit that bell icon to be notified of all the updates I do on this channel. If you want to support the work I'm doing here, then I hope you'll consider becoming one of my Patreons, where you'll get early access to all kinds of videos. And until the next time, may the Lord bless you and keep you. May he cause his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Amen.